If you want to be with a chance to win this Aorus AMD 5700 XT GPU, then be sure to click the link in the description box down below to enter the competition. Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back with some more gaming talk because, of course, if you guys haven't caught the last discussion, then we spoke about sequels we want to see on PS5 because, of course, next console generation is drawing ever closer, and now we're turning our attention to Xbox Scarlet. Where, I mean, there's a couple rumors going around. There's Xbox Scarlet, Xbox Lockhart. They're throwing these names around. We'll get an actual name later on. But regardless, we're talking about sequels that we want to see on the Xbox platform this time. So, let's see. Let me throw out Dew Paradise first. What are we saying?
So, originally, my mind was clear on what Xbox title I wanted. I'm the biggest zombie game fan ever. State of Decay is like a great zombie game in my opinion.
Of course.
It's one of the only of its kind where you actually have like a base that you can customize and build things and grow a group, and they die. There's permadeath. I love it. State of Decay 3 would be amazing, but I'm not going to use that.
Okay.
I'm not going to use that because if you think back to a little old game called Black and White and Black and White 2.
Whoa, okay.
I remember that.
I loved those games. The stuff you could do in them. You know, I don't even know, what can I even say? If you played Black and White, where's it been?
What do you do?
Explain Black and White.
So you're basically a god.
Yeah.
You've got a hand that represents you. So you're like this big floating hand. It's a little weird, but bear with me.
Right.
And then you've got people that you kind of oversee, and you can pick them up. You can pick up the trees. You can pick up rocks.
Oh,
so
wow.
you basically cultivate your own city slash empire slash civilization.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you also have these crazy pets. So if a person is like a normal person size, this pet's the size of like a 5-6 story house. So it's huge, and you can train. You can basically choose to be a good god or a bad god. If you choose to be a good god, the whole aesthetic of the game changes to like an idyllic sort of Roman kind of aesthetic where you have like nice like cottages
utopia
and stuff. Yeah. And if you choose to be evil and you want to like slap people around and throw them in fire and let your pet eat them, you turn evil and your hand goes like all gross and you get like horrible nails. Your whole like village goes like dark and kind of scary looking. Your pet also becomes more feral looking, like it looks angry and gets muscular. You can train your pet up. Then, so you have all that going on while you're on a map with other camps of players, not players, but other like little groups of civilizations that you then have to either take over by force, in which case you turn all your people into military guys and you go and attack them, send in your pet to go bash down their walls and go in there, or you take over it in a good way if you're a good god by basically making your place so nice that they're actually going to leave and come and join you because it's so great.
Right.
And then you work through the levels, and there's like you pick your pet at the start. And I spent so many hours on Black and White 1 and 2. It's such a good game. I don't know what's happened to it, really, to be honest. So it would be great to see a new one.
Wasn't that a Peter Molyneux franchise? Was that? I mean,
yeah, it was.
And I'm not sure where Peter's gone. I mean, I feel like he might.
Shout out to man like Peter.
Shout out to man like Molyneux.
Maybe that explains where your franchise has gone.
Well,
it's true.
It would be great to see it come back.
Yeah.
You know, a Black and White 3 would be super cool.
That'd be cool.
Be cool.
I'm just going to interject here, but like this new setup, like I was sitting on there before. I feel like that meme. I feel like Baby Yoda looking up right now. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, let's throw it to the other arm now.
Right,
Vest,
cool.
what about you?
Another Molyneux franchise, I suppose.
That's not
well, he was involved with it, right? Like,
oh, was he? Oh yeah. No, was he?
Yes,
Lionhead, yeah.
he was.
I know my stuff, you know.
Sorry,
I know my stuff.
The law. I shouldn't question the law.
The law,
I'm
my
sorry.
G. Anyway, Fable, Fable. Like, do I need to say any more? If you've been playing on Xbox, you know what Fable is.
What if I haven't been playing on Xbox?
Well, Fable is essentially what's it called? Like the RPG by Microsoft. It's the kind of like big one. Usually, I've only played the first 2, but usually you kind of like. It's interesting in that you kind of go through every kind of stage of life. So you start as like a kid, and then at least in the second one, which is the one that I remember the most, you kind of start as a kid, and then you sort of have like a kind of like almost like a rags to riches kind of story. You go to being like more of like a teenager and stuff, and then like halfway through the game, you become like an adult, and it's just like there's like a very heavy kind of sort of tie into like morality. So you can, again, like you can be like a really evil character, and that will change your appearance. So like you'll become, you know, you'll get like red skin, you can grow horns if you get like super evil. Whereas if you're, you know, good, you are kind of like the picturesque kind of like champions, or like Link from Zelda or something like that, essentially. So yeah, but those games were always super fun. I remember Fable 2 being super flashy for the time. Like it was crazy. Like I made a spellcaster, and you could just weave these insane spells that as you leveled up, you know, they got like insane. So I remember there was this lightning spell where you could literally bombard like an entire room and it just like fry everybody, like arc between them all and stuff like that. But did you guys like play Fable much? Like,
yeah.
did you play the third one?
Yeah, we played.
Yeah,
269 like completed that like twice the week it came out, right?
Yeah.
We,
Oh, wow,
we did
okay.
the good playthrough, and then we did the bad
The
playthrough.
evil playthrough.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool, especially when like you get your wings at the end. Like
Yeah.
that was nuts. So, you know, I mean, that would be super cool. I've always liked that, and then it's kind of got the sort of British comedy angle of it as well.
Yeah,
which is
for
fun.
sure.
So like,
Yeah.
it's nice. That hits home. So yeah, that's definitely. I'd love to see that one come
Didn't
back.
it have where, like, if you were good or bad, people reacted to you differently?
Yeah, totally. Like, like, that's what I'm the bruv. Listen to what I'm saying, isn't it? Like, there's a whole morality system, okay?
But what I'm saying is,
Like,
you can have a morality system, for example, as we just talked about in black and white.
Yeah.
But when you're playing as a character in
Yes.
Fable, if you go into a shop and you're some
Yeah,
evil
that's
guy,
right.
if you're some
Yeah,
evil
yeah.
guy, they're like, oh, like, they
Yeah.
get super
Yeah.
scared and stuff. It would be interesting though, like, so if there was like a Fable 4, much like with Fable 3, how they added the whole kind of like king system and the whole impending darkness. Again, I didn't play it, but that was kind of how I saw it. Like, you had to gear up for like some end battle or something, right?
like that.
You had to
It's
put
been a
like
long
resources
time.
to it. Fair enough. It's been a while.
You had to go to
shout out
that little
Peter.
island, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, like essentially, it'll be interesting to see if they add something kind of like some sort of new gimmick, I suppose, for Fable 4, like
Yeah.
if that ever comes out. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, the whole lore and like kind of mythology of Fable was always like very cool. Like
Yeah,
with
very
the
rich.
tower and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the
for
fact
sure.
you always like started as a kid and then kind of grew up into
Yeah.
the actual hero and stuff, and it was all like the tales and stuff. It was like
For
hella
sure.
cool. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I know what you
Fable
want to be
is
26, but I feel like it has to happen.
I know. I asked for this game every E3,
every
like
E3.
since probably like
Oh yeah.
so 2015. I've been asking for
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
game. So
Every E3 we go to.
there are a bunch of different Xbox franchises that I obviously want to come back, but like the fact that we haven't got a Lost Odyssey 2.
Yes.
If you haven't played Lost Odyssey 2, it's literally one of like came out around the same time as Final Fantasy 13, and for me, it's like during that generation, it was basically the best Final Fantasy game that came out.
Yeah.
Like it was made by
Same.
like the grandfather of
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy, and he went off and kind of made a completely different studio called like Mistwalker, and they partnered up with a couple of other studios to kind of produce this game and publish it on Xbox. But this game was amazing because it followed like this adventure of like a bunch of different people that were essentially immortal.
Yeah.
And it starts off with this crazy scene where
the
there's like
start was insane.
where there's a meteor coming down, everybody's about to die.
Massive scale
Yeah.
battle.
Matt says scale
Yeah.
battle between magic users,
Yeah.
like sword users, and like machines, and like all of this stuff.
picturing
And like
So
it goes down, it's some crazy cutscene. It kind of throws you. It was like one of the first games that kind of like transitioned straight from like the
cutscene
into gameplay as well.
Yeah,
and it had this music.
So
oh
cool.
my gosh, play the
The
music.
Lost Odyssey
Yeah.
music
Wait,
is so good.
Play
So
the
good.
music.
Play the music, man.
Play the music.
The music, my G. Oh my god.
And he just wakes up, and it's like all of these kind of really crazy, very deep stories that are told, and they have these little books that you can pick up and you can read through, and
Yeah,
it
the
was
lore.
the lore of it was just
lore.
insane. It was like
It was
really one
crazy.
of the only games where I read through the
Same,
stories.
for sure.
I remember one distinct one where it's like the dude was trapped in a
And it's dark.
it's dark,
And he's just like, the guy in the next cell over from me has
Yeah.
gone insane. He's been insane for a week. Like, he's
Yeah.
just like, because he's immortal, it's so interesting. Like, it just takes you into the kind of mindset of someone who would be immortal. And he's just like, for him, being in this jail, he's been there for like 10, 20 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's nothing to him. That's a drop in the pond for him. But then this guy who got brought in like 10 years after him has gone insane at this point
Yeah.
because it's just pitch black. You can't see anything. And it's just really, I don't know, like, it's so beautiful.
like to tell you how deep it is, that person obviously came into the jail,
Yeah.
and he was like really wanting to be released so he
Yeah.
can see the outside world again. But then because he'd been in the jail for so long, he came out and he
was-
just
he
lost
was-
his sight.
Yeah, he's blind.
He's
Yeah,
blind.
my
and
man
it's
was
like,
blind. Yeah.
What? And
It's
you're
just
just like,
mental.
that's one of the stories in that game. I just want to see more of it, and they kind of left it off on a cliffhanger so you could like have more of that. So yeah.
To talk a bit more about Lost Odyssey, my favorite Final Fantasy game is 10, turn-based
Yeah.
combat. Lost Odyssey does turn-based combat so
So
well.
well.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's still turn-based, but you also have like a kind of quick time event when
Yeah,
you
with
do
the
your
triggers,
moves.
right?
So
Yeah.
you have to like match up this ring that sort
Yeah.
of funnels in, and if you match it up, you get bonus damage or whatever it is. It's been a while ago. And also, when you get into the later game, you start getting those end game moves that cost a lot of mana. The cut, the effects, especially like back on 360, were really good.
Yeah.
And you could do some really cool stuff. And it also had personalization in there for how you want to play your character. I think there was a point system. If I'm remembering correctly, it was a point system. Every character has like a set amount of points. I think the more as they level up, and you could assign like your equipment cost points, and they give you like moves or something like that.
I do recall.
So you could add in things like perfect guard or perfect attack that would like amplify if you hit that ring properly, as well as like different elemental stuff and like bonus damage and things like that. So it was really cool. Probably one of my favorite turn-based games.
Yeah, same, 100%. For me, like again, going back to kind of just like the almost like the spectacle of it in terms of like transitioning from cutscene into gameplay, and just the graphics for the time were amazing, and the effects. Like one of the things that really blew my mind as someone who didn't play too many turn-based games when I was younger was like, and I'm sure other games have done it, but like in most battles, like you are surrounded, like there's people behind you and like over there and stuff, and it's like when you like, it's got like a dynamic camera, so like you will like select the person behind you, and your guy will like turn around and then like do a different looking move, even though it's the same thing, and it's just really cool. It feels like an actual battle is going on.
I think there's a decent chance of like eventually seeing it, because like Phil Spencer specifically always says,
man.
I mean,
I've been like waiting for this game for like years.
I can't
Phil,
keep
please.
hope. I can't keep hope.
Phil.
no, but he does say like he's making a bigger push, because like specifically Xbox has always been quite weak. I mean, although I know it's not over, it's not like necessarily only a Eastern game, but Xbox has been quite weak over in the East, so like he's trying to make those bigger pushes. So maybe, but then anyway.
They don't have it in their library though. Like I feel like it's such a. I feel like
just Lost Odyssey 1. I don't even need 2 yet. Just give us 1. I want it on PC.
Give us a remaster, a remake, whatever it is.
Maybe he's been working so hard that it's like taking all this time. He just needs that Scarlet hardware. So maybe,
perhaps.
Imagine the Scarlet hardware. You could have
Odyssey
massive
remaster.
armies, right?
That'd be
so
amazing.
it's a whole time. But right. So
what is yours? What is your secret?
So
I'm
How have you broken the rules this time?
I've bent the rules again, right?
Oh my
no,
lord.
I'm gonna mention 2, right? But I've bent the rules again because Scalebound, right, never came out. Now, how are you gonna do me like this, right? I love Platinum Games' games, and Scalebound looked incredible. Everything about it. I got to see the closed doors Gamescom tech demo. It was a bit ropey at the time. The frame rate was pretty chonky, but it was in a position where like it looked really cool, right? It had so many cool concepts, and then when they cancelled it, I was like, man.
Describe the game for those that maybe didn't
know.
know.
So it's kind of typical like Platinum style. I mean, it's a sequel. Well, it's a sequel to something that never existed. So it can never mind, right? it was a kind of typical like Platinum action. So obviously fast-paced combat, crazy combos, other sort of things like that. But you've also got this. You have this dragon as I mean, we don't know how the actual game play, but we have the dragon which is assuming like to be your pet. So you can actually use it in the open world and start like fighting with this huge beast, and then suddenly you can have like, so bearing in mind normally with action games you're based on your character and that scale, but the dragon allowed you to go to a whole new scale, which was really cool. But obviously we only saw like a little bit of it, and then it seemed to have one interesting co-op component they showed at the very end of the tech demo, where you walked in to fight this massive boss, and then 4 other people came in. And they fought so it was supposed to have co-op, which would have been really cool, and then they cancelled it.
Was this going to release on PlayStation 3?
No, it was just going to be Xbox. It was Xbox.
Okay, cool. I'm thinking of something different.
So that was unfortunate, right? But since it didn't technically exist, and I can't therefore have a sequel, the other one I want to mention is Perfect Dark, right? Perfect Dark. I love Perfect Dark.
Like Joanna.
I think back to when I played Perfect Dark, like back in the 64 days, when I used to play like a load of GoldenEye with my brother, and then we also played like Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark, right? My 2 memories of Perfect Dark were Elvis, the little alien guy, right? And the Farsight as my favourite gun, because you shoot through walls, and I play. And I'm cheap.
What about the gun that you could throw on the wall that turned into a turret?
The laptop gun.
The briefcase.
But right, bear in mind when I was younger, like my brother was always better at those games, so I looked for anything that was cheap. So Farsight, I'd be like, I can see you through the wall. But like the whole concept with Perfect Dark was just always really cool. So like, it's just a fantastic franchise. Joanna was a really cool character, and the whole I mean, we just need it.
I feel like I'm one of the only people that like Perfect Dark Zero, because like when the 360 came out, there was like literally no shooters out at the time on the console.
I remember.
So I ended up playing like a lot of the multiplayer on that, and even though it wasn't like mind-blowingly good. Like, it was one of the only multiplayer games that we could play, so I was like, I play that so much, man. And like, for Perfect Dark to come back, it'll be so good, dude.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But there you have it, right? That's a look at some of the games that we'd like to see as sequels. Again, as I mentioned in the last video, obviously attention is more so on what's going to be like the new stuff, but there's some sequels that they would be a welcome addition to the Scarlet Library. So that's it for the time being. Make sure you stay tuned. We've got some more videos coming your way talking about Nintendo in the next one, sequels we want to see. So don't miss it.
Where's Splinter Cell though?
Who knows? I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.